What's going on? Us women, we be talking crazy sometimes, don't we? And I know it can be hard. It can be hard for men to follow the emotions and pull it together when we're all over the place or when we got something to say. But you know how we do. This is Wednesday, and it's time to talk all things dating and relationships. So, you know the drill. I think it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Grab yourself a glass of wine, share this with a friend, join the conversation, and see you in a second. Yes, so welcome. I am your host, Jamie Alexander. And of course, I'm not having this conversation by myself. I have dating and relationship consultant Nyatu Marvel on the scene. Back. Hey,
Hey, happy winning Wednesday.
happy winning Wednesday. We missed you.
I missed y'all too. No, I didn't. I was having too much fun, but I was ready to come back after the fun. I can't say that last Wednesday I was missing anything.
You was on a beach somewhere.
On social media.
Yeah. Good for you. I love to see it. It's always good to take like a good break, have a pause, and just unplug all the way. Celebrate your wins and get some sun somewhere.
Absolutely. I didn't get the tan I want. I thought I was going to come back a little more hot chocolate.
But you got a little something, though. You got a little something.
A little something. I'm gonna get back under the sun soon. I'm gonna be chocolate by July, I promise.
You know, then you need to go to Mexico because there is nothing like a tan that I bring home from Mexico. I don't even recognize myself. I'm like, whoa.
Nice.
So as you guys know, we take viral content and fun relationship videos that we find on Instagram. We share them with y'all, and then we share a healthy perspective on both. And I saw this video, and I actually thought it was really good to play on the show for a few reasons. So we're going to get into that, and then we're going to discuss it. So here we go.
Tell you something, Ty, it's something different, bro. A woman can break you down. Like a woman can really check you. Like it's been days my wife came home from work talking to me crazy. You know what I'm saying? So Tate, he might be on some, you ain't gonna talk to me because I'm a masculine man. But I realized, bro, my wife is just hurting. So let me be strong. I'm gonna be that punching bag. The world already don't respect women like they do men, and especially black women. So because I'm sure in myself, I'm gonna govern my tongue. So I'm gonna be more respectful. I'm gonna be more patient. I'm gonna extend more grace. I'm gonna extend more love. I'm gonna be more gentle. So yeah, so I definitely disagree with the idea of for a man to be his best self, he got to be around other alpha males. But nah, bro, you're around a bunch of other jocks. A bunch of other people might push you in some other areas, but I'm on humility, bro. Like I'm on character.
He went off. He went in on that. I want to know your thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on what he had to say? How did that make you feel? What did you think? Do you agree? Talk to me.
My gut reaction was, hell no. Hell no.
What?
Hell no. Punching, I'll be the punching bag. Nobody should agree up front in their mind that they're going to be anybody's verbal, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual punching bag at all. So while I understand that men and women all have bad days, and certainly my woman or my wife will mishandle me. You know, it's 365 days out of the year. There's going to be some days that I get mishandled. But talking crazy, being a punching bag, and again, not even really so much, well, I say 50% of it is a standard for me. And the other 50% of it is knowing myself. I don't have that Martin Luther the King Jr. Zen like that. I wouldn't, at some point, something's going to come out of my mouth in response to being a punching bag that a woman is not going to enjoy. And it doesn't even have to be reckless and overt. An intelligent person, you know, their tongue can be a razor blade at times without even using harsh words. But what I didn't catch was the entire context of what he said. I know he brought up the guy, I assume he was talking about Andrew Tate. I guess he said something about men need to be around other alpha males. So I really can't speak on that because I don't know the full context. But no, I think this is why women live longer than men in marriage. I think this is why these men are stroking out and losing their hair. It's, he didn't have no hair, right?
Oh no!
Because he letting his wife come home and be
Bing,
a
bing,
boss.
bing.
Yeah, no. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I had a lot of thoughts, and this is why it is so beautiful, man and woman, right? Because I loved it. I love what he had to say. And this is something I wanted to share, and I'm going to break down why I loved it, because I completely understand just as much context as we had just from the clip. I don't know what his wife said. I do not think belittling your man or being disrespectful, name calling, those things, that's out of it. But we're full of emotion and antics. And I read a book twice called The Way of the Superior Man. And I wanted to share an excerpt from it because I feel like if men could grasp this in a certain capacity, I feel like they could receive our antics in a way that would be much helpful on both parties. Because, men are designed a certain way and women are designed a certain way. And what I found is, I don't know if it's just the guys I'm attracting, but a lot of them cannot meet my energy. And for women, that's a problem. So I'm going to read this excerpt from the book because what we're expecting, is they talked about how men can't be stuck in or avoid areas of his masculine capacity. And so our dark feminine needs to meet the dark masculine. Like there has to be a point where we're matching energy. So it says she will keep returning to the energy that you can't match. If you're turned off by her anger, she will keep returning to the energy of anger until you're able to embrace her anger in the veracity of your transforming the anger into passion. She will continue to test your capacity to do so. Any of our energies as women, any of us, our feminine energies, that you are unable to transform to love through the force, clarity, or humor of your consciousness will return for you to face again and again. So it's really about blossoming her beyond her tension. So if she's all riled up and acting crazy in your body, a man, if he can see that for what it is and not take it personal, because it's not, and expand his consciousness as a man and stand in truth and show in his body and act out in his body, saying calm down ain't gonna work. Walking over to her with an embrace in truth and laughing in humor and love and the weight of the trust she can have in you is going to dissipate the energy. So it's very weird. And I'm so glad that the book broke it down like that, because I almost wasn't able to understand it as a woman. Like, we need that grounding. And that to me is what the opposite of, this is the point of having a man. Not the only point of having a man, but I'm saying this is because, right? Girlfriends, we'll wild out until we ain't got no steam left. It's so good for us to have girlfriends because y'all don't want to hear some of that stuff. We talk to each other completely different. Yeah. So that's all that. And then we're like, good girl. And we're unaffected. We move on. It's just like we have to, so we save that for the girlfriends. But when a man can match our energy with consciousness, hold us affectionately. It's his body, it's his tone, it's looking in our eyes. It's not what you say, it's what you do. If you tell me you love me in that moment, I'll be less likely to believe you than if you grab me and just hold me in a particular way. So I really like what he said, because he seems to be able to grasp the capacity of his consciousness as a man, because he's not taking it personal, because he's not trying to match energies. Oh, she's arguing, so let me just leave her alone. She got to figure it out. Well, we just gonna be like, well, he don't love me. Like, that's not. So it's if we can understand the way we're wired just a little bit more, I think we could both win at this thing. You know what I mean? So those are my 2 cents. I was like, wow, this reminds me of the book. It's The Way of the Superior Man. And in reading that book, I was like, I felt so understood. I was like, oh my God, can we talk about this, please?
Right. So I'm very familiar with that book. Read it
Yes.
10 times and
Yeah.
owned the audio book. Used to drive around, listen to it.
Yes.
Think there are tremendous tools in there, tremendous insights, but I don't subscribe to it as a whole. I think
Okay.
that half of me wants to shake his hand and the other half of me wants to kick him through the uprights at a football game.
Oh man.
That in that book, he places all the responsibility for everything on the man. That's not a partnership. Ain't nothing teamwork about that. Ain't nothing marriage about that. So no. And so because I have encountered women who aren't wired that way, I don't think that women are wired that way. I think that some women
Interesting.
subscribe to being wired that way because they've been trained and conditioned that it's okay by men like that author and usually their fathers. And so I do agree that you don't want to match negative energy. I do agree that sometimes what people need is just to be loved on in that moment when they're frustrated and things of that nature. But men get frustrated too. And we can't come home and beat up on women. And I don't even just mean physically, but that's considered abuse. And then when
Yeah.
a woman does it, it's just how she's wired, and we're the ones that's supposed to do something. Again, if I'm married, I love my wife. I want to be the best that I can be. I want to be as understanding as I can be. But if this is the standard and the tone that I set, that this is okay, then in my humble opinion, or at least just speaking for me, I'm going to struggle to feel like I love myself. I'm going to feel like I love my wife tremendously, but quietly in the room by myself, I'm going to be saying, do you love you though? Because
Oh yeah, no,
you just, so I guess it depends. I mean, what type of abuse is he talking about? But when he said punching bag, it didn't, my mind didn't go to a little slick talk or just a little frustration. It went to he said she checked him and went in on him and it didn't even have nothing to do with him. No. I had that experience, was dating a young lady. She was being sexually harassed, discriminated against, and illegally mistreated at her job. But
jeez.
there was a level of job security that she felt, and so she would not leave, and she was afraid to leave, and she was afraid to sue, because that was my thing. It's like, look, man, I will type this up and
Get these papers together.
yeah, we can get this, a notification to the owner, and we're off to the races. And so she could not snap the way she wanted to at work. So then you're going to come home and give it to me. But I didn't reduce your salary. I didn't harass you.
Right.
I didn't discriminate against you. I'm not making crude jokes. I'm not disrespecting you in any type of way. And even if I wanted to put up with it, my spirit just won't allow me to. That eventually, I know that, I read Superior Man. I tried it. Eventually, I just haven't created that level of zen. Some men either have it or claim to have it. I'm not sure. I work on my patience every day. I think it's pretty high. I think there's still room to grow. But I don't think I'll ever have that level of zen where there's some level of consistent verbal abuse. And every time I'm able to just hug you and love on you and not worry about it and not take any of it personally.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there's always that fine line, right? Like, that's why even in the clip, and I wanted to start with, name calling, disrespect, all of that. That's not, in my opinion, this does not absolve women from a level of maturity that we need to have in order to manage and check our emotions and things like that. But when it does come to certain things, certain times in certain areas, that what I explained will really be a complete game changer. I think it adds to the intimacy, because even just as much as when she's frustrated and needs you to trust your masculine capacity and consciousness enough to hold your frame on that. It's the same when she's like loving, like just as much as men need our radiance and our openness, like we need that unwavering frame. So it's like, you know, I've experienced it before, and I have to acknowledge that obviously and likely I was just with the wrong man. But even in love, when my love is being displayed, my radiance is there, my openness, I can tell men get afraid. They retreat in a particular way. They get a little scared. Not everybody is very used to being loved and can hold the space to open that. That's, you know, been my experience. But, you know, so with that being said, to me, just in what I've experienced with men, there is a lack of freedom on both ends. And I just like what he said. I agree with you. Punching bag is not the thing. We are not designed to abuse our man. I'm not talking about an abusive situation, disrespectful name calling, but I'm just talking about in the capacity. Our antics are different. Men and women, we function different. Sometimes y'all look at us and it's a lot. We're different than you. But in certain capacities, whether it's on the loving end or the, you know, snappy end, when a man can just hold his frame, like that's something that we can trust. I feel like that dissipates that energy. I feel like we can relinquish to that frame a lot easier and more fully. And in my, experience, not a lot of guys can hold that on either end. And it's interesting to me, you know, I don't understand everything about a man, but I like what he said, because it was almost like he could just see like, all right, girl, you know, you got that thing going on. Come here. Like, you know, I can handle it, because it's not, you know, it didn't feel like he was taking it personally. Whereas some guys, because I'm not really an argumentative woman. I don't be hollering and screaming. And I do. We ain't hollering and screaming. It ain't. But there are things on both sides, either, you know, a big, beautiful love, or there's something going on that needs to be addressed. And I've seen just an inability to hold that on both sides. Like I can feel that there's no room. I feel it. It's a feeling. It's not what you say. Oh, I hear you. I understand. I'm like, but I feel you in a shell in there.
Right. I can't lie to you. It's a little disheartening to hear a woman talking about not having control of herself, but then saying the man has an inability to deal with her inability to control herself. That's disheartening. And I know it's not popular to talk about, but there are lots of men in the United States and around the world that are in abusive relationships with women. And this is how it forms, that they read Ways of Superior Man and they don't know where to draw the line in the sand, and they accept a little tiff, and then a medium tiff, and then a large tiff, and then you blink and 4 months later, and again, this won't happen if this is not that a woman's nature per se. But again, in my experience, I didn't think that was that woman's true nature, was to be abusive. I think she was taking tremendous pressure and abuse, and she was just exploding. But, you know, even though she had a good reason, she was being abusive, and no man should embrace that and accept that. And that when we, you know, ironically, I put up a post today, you know, just talking about leadership. Is there such a thing as a bad follower, right? Is there such a thing as a bad teammate, or is it always on the leader to fix everything? And I just see a growing dynamic where everything is on the man. No matter what the circumstances is, financial, emotional, spiritual, mental, it's all on the man. And that's just not healthy. It takes two to tango. Like Rob Bay said back in the day, it takes two people to make a thing go right. So men go out here, we sometimes get abused by the police. We sometimes get abused by authority on jobs. We sometimes, we just dealing with a lot of things, and we can't come home and take that out on our woman, not verbally, not physically, not none of that. We better go play some basketball or go to the gym or do something. And so you know, I think it's 2023 and everybody's an adult. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
We have to manage our own emotions, and so that's what I would say. You know, you love your woman. Yeah, try to love on her when she's having a tough time. Ladies, if you love your man, get out of this mindset that you're wired to snap and go off and blah blah. Even you know, I love Louis
No.
Farrakhan. He says that same thing. A woman is gonna test you. She gonna test you. In that book, Ways of the Superior Man, the guy comes home and says he just got the $1 million contract, and she like, yeah, but you forgot the milk. I don't care about that $1 million contract. She gonna be out my house. She gonna be out of my house if you don't celebrate me with the $1 million contract and you talking about a half a gallon of milk. I don't agree with him. In fact, I might burn my book. No, I'm not gonna burn my book. Like
Don't you dare! No, I'm just playing.
Tools. There's some ways that we could temper some of the things that go on in relationships. Sometimes we're doing things that's making things worse and don't realize it. And a lot of those clues and tools are in that book. But just a blanket, generalized statement that the man is the one who should always have the ability to deal with the woman's inability. Yeah, that's a tough one for me.
Yeah, and this is why, you know, with us being as close as possible, I would say, to healthy masculine and feminine, I'm certainly not talking about, you know, women, we're just going to snap and we're out of control and they need to give us a pass. That's not what I'm talking about. Because when you talk about leaders and followers, a lot of women, me including myself, even if I am a follower, I'm a leader of self. Everybody's a leader of self first. So even to be a good follower, you have to be a good leader of self. So we're definitely talking about in the capacity of secure and healthy, not erratic and abusive. I don't agree with that. I don't think that it is okay for women to be erratic, abusive, name calling, and men's just supposed to take it. We're just talking about in the realms of a woman who knows that, who has emotional maturity, right? Because if you are a superior man, keep the book or don't, just a man who is settled within himself, we have the same responsibilities. So just like you hear and feel like, you know, man, we have to do everything, women feel the same. This is why the whole independent woman thing is something that's being screamed. We have to do everything. There's just, there are some men who maybe handle certain the money and the this and that, but then there's women who is running everything. They're doing the kids, they're all of the extra activities, they're doing the dinner, the this, the that. There's also times where, you know, how do I say? There is a particular load that I feel like women carry in dealing with men and vice versa. I don't think anyone's getting off with feeling like a princess on any side. So I definitely mean in the capacity of healthy people, because I don't want to put that out there as a woman. Like, it's okay. I just think that some of the ways that we function and take things are different. And when a man shows up in the fullness of his capacity and can see it for what it is, we have to do the same thing, though. We do the same thing with men. Like, you know, I kind of shared, there's a certain level of venting and crap talking and chick talk. Have yourself some good girlfriends. Y'all talk. This is not how we deal with our man. Like, if you are a certain type of woman, you understand that. When you're ready to talk about the girls at work, when you want to talk about this and that reality show, when you want to dump the way you do, get on the line with your girlfriends. Go to happy hour, go to brunch, and come to your man and we talk about other things, and we definitely do other things rather than the yep. You're my best friend, but it's different. You're a man, and we can see that and acknowledge it. Again, it's a certain level of maturity. So I think there's ways that we can both be there for each other. I never want a man to feel like a punching bag. Overall, I was just kind of impressed with his capacity. And we don't know what she said, right? Punching bag, that wasn't, those words, they don't sound good. So I don't agree with that. But just overall, I was kind of feeling like relieved, like, okay, there are men who get it and don't just, you know, contract or close up. And I'm talking about on both sides, like when a lot of love is being given and a lot of love is available, and you can feel that and you're not ready for it, or you can't handle it, or you're unsure. But a certain level of man, I feel like, one wouldn't be in a particular situation with a woman. That's just trash. Like if she's abusive and erratic and I don't see certain type of men even really engaging in that
Right.
if he's done his work. So yeah,
Yeah, I you know, sorry.
no, you're good.
It's ironic, you know, the young lady who became abusive for 3 years, I never saw that. Not one time.
Really?
Never. But and I had a conversation with a friend the other day. Like, there are so many things that when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we like, there is no way. But at the same time, I think if we've lived long enough and we look back on our lives, sometimes it was yes way, right? Sometimes we have done something that we would have never guessed, but we had never been in that position before. I want to tell a business because I'm not saying any names, but ultimately, you know, her daughter went away to college and she got on a payment plan to pay $1,000 a month for the tuition, and she leaked that information to her job, and they reduced her income by exactly $1,000 a month. She never found herself in that situation before, so she probably never saw the side of her that came out of that before, you know, either. And so I don't know, when I read Ways of the Superior Man, again, great insights, some great tools, but overall what it's saying is be perfect. Man, that the superior man is perfect and he's going to handle every situation that his woman throws at him with godlike perfection.
And I'm all reading the book like, this guy is amazing. Where is he?
Because that's ideal, and you should strive for it. But I'm here to say, man, if you ain't perfect, that is okay. Matter of fact,
and it is.
It's normal.
No, none of us are looking for perfection. How many women, again, maybe it's just me and my girlfriends, but the level of stuff that we have put up with from men because we know people aren't perfect, it's astounding. So sometimes it's really hard for me to listen to this stuff and hear men complain because it's like, we have loved your dirty draws and more. And you complaining, acting like women really won't give it all over to you because we will. What will you do with it? You know, what's going on? And it boggles my mind sometimes to hear men complain because I've never.
Let me be clear.
Yeah.
My dirty draws have been loved before. And me and another one of my friends was laughing maybe a week ago. And we was like, some of these dudes, they doing stuff. And we be like, I know why women complain. It's like, Jesus. It's like, dude, for real, like, man.
You killing it. That's why, yeah.
Other men make it hard to argue at all. You just have to like, man, look.
And that's another thing I was thinking too. And sometimes when I see these men, I watched, and I don't mind because I want to listen. I had a whole series called Kings Speak where I just was quiet and asked men questions and let them talk. We need to hear men talk. We need to understand. You know, but there was, I saw a clip, it was Ayama again, Lord have mercy, but it was this man talking to a bunch of women about how Black women make Black men feel. And he was saying all this stuff. And as much as I understand and have compassion just as a, human to human, I'm like, wow, I kind of want men to focus a little more on men because these dudes all have women in their wake. Y'all boys be cutting up something crazy, and a lot of times you either say something or don't. There are the good men who do say stuff, but it's just like y'all got to talk to each other in a way because we can't do it. Like, and there's been so much when it comes to, everybody has both of their sides of things. I feel like women, we get to it. So back to the book, right? It's the way of the superior man. It sounds like man do everything because that's the book for man. So that's the man book. Women, we got retreats. We over here evolving. We're doing the self-work. We're focused on self-mastery. We're doing,
What is the equivalent book to what is the opposite equivalent to the book Ways of the Superior Man? Because you're familiar with Ways of the Superior Man. So what is the woman book that is holding woman accountable and only talking about all the things the woman needs to do to not have the inability to be able to deal with men? Where's that book? What's the name of it?
I feel like there's a million books out there. I can't think.
Just name one.
I can't think of them right now. We're gonna have to put a pin in that. But
so
I
again,
promise
so
you.
hear what you just said. You want the men to hold the men accountable, and
I don't want. I want.
And
I don't want women
the
to talk to me.
that holds men accountable, but you don't know. You can't name one book.
I feel like there's so much. I'm gonna come back to you with that. You caught me off guard. But let me tell you something. We really do work hard. We try hard. When we fall out of a relationship with somebody, we will stay on the phone for hours with each other. And it's all about accountability because we know a lot of us, not all. And this is why I have a group coaching program. I hang around women who offer, my girl Keandra has surrender session. Like we go in on the programs and offerings to women for accountability because we know that our experiences it's on us. I can't talk about the last dudes I dated because I engaged in it. And I can clearly see where I allowed or and I feel like as women, maybe it's just the women I'm around. So I don't want to say, but we do so much and we try, there's so many women's groups and circles and sisterhoods and retreats. Like, I feel like we're going in on that. And so, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm only seeing it.
I'm definitely not saying I'm not saying you're not. Whenever I found myself frustrated with women or a group of women,
or a cluster, a community,
a demographic,
yeah.
And this is the honest to God truth. I always end up within less than 24 hours saying, "Well, what did you do to contribute in Nyatu? What's your role in this? Did you attract it? Did you accept it? Did you instigate it?
Yeah.
Did you exacerbate it?" I ask myself the questions, and I don't allow myself to have friends who only praise me.
Mm-hmm.
My friends would be like, "No,
they be checking me.
No, bro, that was you."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, and it can be hard.
You.
Yeah.
My friends will say that, but what I find is the men who speak to men are only popular with women. Because women don't want to hear what themselves being held accountable. They want to hear men holding men accountable.
But we also want to hear what y'all
to those guys. Go ahead.
We want to hear what y'all need and what y'all want and what the issue is and what men listen to men talk about men because we're so curious on how to actually make this thing work, not just to avoid accountability.
Never said nothing about what men need. He said what men need to be.
Derek Jackson, yeah.
What men need to be. That's all
point. He was
ever
you're right
about. And again, there's one exception, but usually the most popular, relationship public speakers are, the ones who say the men are who need to get it together. And so I think overall, women as a group say men are supposed to be the leaders. But we haven't been that for y'all in quite some time. Overall, in a particular relationship, you can be, but women lead themselves all over.
But we have to lead ourselves as individuals. So I'm not going.
It's hard for me to subscribe to that because even things that
women lead themselves,
even things that don't have anything to do with the relationship,
baby,
the way you have all of the eyes turned up, full blast fire while you're cooking, and how you keep going into the office and doing emails while the fire is on full blast. I'm no fireman, but when I used to watch cartoons as a kid, they used to have these infomercials, public service announcements telling you all the things you could be doing dangerously in your house that could turn into a fire, right?
Yes.
You're doing all of those things right now.
Yeah.
Right? And she's like, I've been cooking like this for 20 years. Either like it or you start doing all the cooking. Okay. The next week, hey, how'd you get that burn on your arm?
Yeah.
Doing the same thing you told me not to do. So it's like, if I can't even lead you into not burning yourself. You know what I mean? If I can't tell a woman, don't walk down the street at 2:00 in the morning in Chicago because they acting a fool out there a little bit. I don't want anything to happen to you. And you keep walking down the street. It don't have nothing to do with if he made you feel safe or you trusted. You just a leader. leading yourself
But I
down
don't
the
even know
wrong
if
path.
that's right. I was like, I don't even know if that's leadership. That sounds like with that, I'm hearing a lot of resistance. So that's an individual
They
issue.
resisting their own safety.
Yeah, there's a lot of resistance.
But
I
that's
don't
not,
want
I
to be
mean,
told what to
when
do.
you hear when I hear men respond to black women say we're the least protected, all the men is like they don't listen to
I
us
tried to
about
tell
what they
you.
should be
Yeah.
doing, so that they don't even need as much protection, right? And so
Yeah.
I was a lifeguard for a living through high school and college. And the best way to be a lifeguard is not even to let anybody begin to drown. We had all these prevention techniques to keep you out of the situation to where you're swallowing water, right? So I
Right.
never had to give anybody mouth to mouth because I ran my pool in a way that nobody who wasn't supposed to be in the deep end was in the deep end drowning.
Right.
Right? But what if there were no rules? I would have been giving mouth to mouth every day. If none of the kids listened and could just do whatever they wanted to do, then they would have been yelling, "These lifeguards ain't nothing. All the kids are drowning." Yeah, because they're not letting
God.
me protect them from drowning.
Right.
And so
That's a hard
I'm
position.
not saying all women, but
No,
there's
you're right.
a significant group of women who won't let us protect them from drowning.
I agree. And you know what I always want for us? I want the people to match up that need to be matched up just to
Me too.
match up because it's possible and it could be beautiful. It's like I see it and I know that, there's two sides of things. One thing I wanted to ask you in something that you said about the woman who what was I going to say? That we don't know how people are going to react until they're in a situation sometimes. So, how do you feel about what do you think are some of the best ways people can pair up without seeing the other person go through so many scenarios? Because there's two things I see, right? I see on one end, it's like when you identified that you and the person have the tools to work through things and you go for it. And then I also see people who are like, you got to get to know him. You got to know him broke. You got to know him angry. You got to know him this, that, and who take a little bit more time. So which is it? And what do you think that we can do to kind of understand a little bit more about what we're getting into, depending on the pace we want to move, especially when we haven't seen people go through. I mean, was you going to date the girl for 3 years and then be like, oh, so how does this work to you?
I've heard stories of people falling in love the first night, moving in together the first night, and they still together, kicking.
Yeah.
I've seen other people do that and end up with their credit messed up, with a police record, and, and everything else go wrong. So I wish I could tell everybody that there's a one size fits all. Myself, I think information is power. I think knowledge is power, and that the more I know and understand about a person, the better equipped I am to be able to deal with them, if that's my goal, to be able to deal with them in a healthy way. And sometimes people's traumas and toxic traits or unhealthy traits are hidden, and you won't even have a clue what you signed up for. And a lot of times when we change so gradually that by the time we notice how much things have changed, we like miles away from where we were, and we wondering how we even got here. Like, how is this even possible? And I suspect that is because not enough time is being put in to getting to know each other. I also think that sometimes we try to only use time as the only metric to quantify what has happened in the relationship. But I have dated a woman for a year and then woke up and realized that I've been on the same first date. All of our dates have been the same first date. That the conversation was rearranged, but for the most part, we stayed in a certain area with conversations. And I felt at the end of that, like I hadn't gotten to know her, too much more than I did the first time we went out. In fact, that's in a movie too.
Is it 50?
Ever After, is that it? What is it called?
Oh, I'm not sure.
With Sanaa Lathan or whatever. But she thought he was going to propose in the movie And he was like, what? He's like, I don't even, he bought her a dog. He was like, I don't know you.
Oh my
and
God.
the theme of the movie was that she was going through jumping through extreme hoops to present perfection. So she was like waking up at 4 a.m. and redoing her makeup and then laying back down so that when he woke up, she looked like as amazing as she does once she's already done her up. And so she was like hiding all of her flaws for the purpose of getting married. And what everybody really wants is someone to love you for who you really are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But we're afraid to let that out. And so, you know, a lot of times that first year, we're only dealing with a person's representative. And so I don't allow myself to feel like I know a person unless I've experienced things that just them in situations that just organically came about. If I plan a date with you and you dress nice and you look nice and you're talking nice on a date, that's great, right? But that is not necessarily a true reflection of who you are all the time. But if the waitress messes up and I decide to tip anyway and you stick your gum on the money, because I had that happen.
Stop.
I had that happen before. The lady was not feeling the waitress, and I still was like, I'm gonna give the little $20 tip, and she stuck her gum on the $20.
Oh,
I would
my
never
God.
have seen that
if you didn't see
had
it.
it not been an organic situation that brought about. And to go back to the original topic, I suspect the reason why in the Ways of the Superior Man and Minister Louis Farrakhan endorsed this behavior is because maybe that's what women are trying to see. If I act up a little bit, is he gonna choke me and throw me over the balcony or stop loving me or be harsh with me? Or is he, even when I mess up, does he still have the capacity to love me? And that I do agree with.
I like that
1,000%.
That made me feel warm. It did. It was like, you know, because you know, not everybody's equipped for it. Not everybody is on the level of emotional availability to give or receive. And you're right, with the performative nature and the representative in the beginning and all of this, sometimes it can really be challenging because men and women alike still are showing up in ways that they think they're supposed to. They think you want to see, and they haven't even gotten a chance to know you. Like, there's a lot of times where, I mean, I get it. I got a lot on social media. There's all this or that, but you know, me behind the scenes, like I might kick it just a little different. It might shock you just a little bit. So it's like, can you let go of the perceptions long enough to get with what's right in front of you? And how good can we get at doing that as upfront as possible without the preconceived notions of all the stuff we're seeing on the media, all the things we're assuming we're supposed to be doing? Because, you know, as one person might complain about the bonnet, the other person is like, you want me to help you put your bonnet on? Like, we just, girl, you either wear the bonnet at night or you don't. But you just need to right out the gate.
And you know what? Again, I try to check myself about these things. I found myself last week asking myself, why am I not the male companion who's down to be like the skilled photographer? Why am I not laying down on the ground to get the perfect shot of this lady? Why am I not leaning over the railing, over the ocean to get this? I do that in some other areas, right? But with pictures, I'm a terrible cameraman. You tell me to take your picture, I'm gonna hold it up, 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna give you the camera back. I have not been able to bring myself to put the fullness of my energy and effort into being the best photographer that I can. And so what I realize is that whenever I'm frustrated, I'm gonna struggle to be my best self. That all of the missteps that I've ever made in relationships and dating or whatever, I was frustrated. It may have been something else that frustrated me already. And so I was frustrated when the wired way that women behave came to me. I had used up, because I only have a certain amount of patience per day.
That's fair.
And so sometimes work uses it all up, and that's not fair to your partner at all. But I'm just being honest. It's my truth. Yeah. I don't have unlimited. I wish I did have unlimited. That would be so, that will be or would be so cool because I'm still working on it. I don't say this just me. I never say that. I'm working on it, but I don't want to mislead anybody that because I'm working on it, I have this perfect Zen patience. But I've noticed that whenever I word something the wrong way or something spills out the wrong way, it's because I'm already frustrated and have already had it up to here. And I think that's what a lot of people are experiencing. And unfortunately, if you haven't figured some aspects of life out as it pertains to money and other things, you will be frustrated every day, all day.
Ooh.
Like until you drink or smoke or do whatever, something to escape. But a lot of people, I mean, believe it or not, I believe the majority of people's, I used to be downtown a lot in the mornings, and I love to people watch. Mm-hmm. It's like all these people mad going to work. This one dude, he's skipping and and this one lady, she happy listening to you, but everybody else is pissed.
90%. Yeah, you just mad. You woke up
7:30, it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
They crossing the street, they walking into the building, and they are livid already. And that, I don't know, I don't want to attribute that totally to their character or even totally to their personality. Sometimes it's their circumstances. And so I feel grateful for having had both of my parents and being raised and loved and having a whole village and grandparents and uncles and aunts and teachers and everybody just loving on me and encouraging me. But everybody, didn't and does not have that. And a lot of people have, a reason to be frustrated. I can remember seeing a TV show where this teacher was so frustrated with this kid and why he was acting up. And she found out later, he wasn't being fed at home. He didn't have no breakfast.
He hungry.
Right?
He
so
hangry. Yeah.
By the time he gets to school. Oh. And so again, not trying to turn anybody into a therapist, not encouraging anybody to put up with anything that they shouldn't put up with. But unfortunately, we don't live in an ideal world. And so people's behaviors is not always going to be ideal. But hopefully people have healthy limits on how far they will go with the unhealthy behavior, and that allows people to have limits on how much unhealthy behavior they will accept. And like as you said before so eloquently, the right people get with the right people, and let it all work out.
It can really fit like puzzle pieces because, even when you talk about that level of frustration and the things that people have to deal with, there are people who intentionally work on having a level of compassion. And like you said, this is definitely not about wilding out, even to the top of this this thing. I don't know how often homegirl is wilding out on her husband. This right. Isn't that. But there are times where it's like, okay, I can have compassion for this. And when you're ready to talk, let's talk. Or, for example, if a man is paying all the bills, like, what is your and I'm, the one running the house, what does your decompression time look like? Do you know how much time you need? Okay, well, let's figure that out. Like, can we communicate and work together so that each person actually has an opportunity to be a human? Because I was watching Real Housewives of New Jersey, which I'm starting to love. I didn't even know I was going to like it that much. Lord, I was like, oh my God.
I've never seen it, but don't let it influence you.
No. So I think the husbands are amazing. I love it. I think it's a little bit more normal than what people would think. It's the Housewives of Atlanta and all that throw me off. But these Jersey people, I'm like, wow, these are regular problems with regular family people, with regular men, with jobs. And like, I'm really not that mad at it. Okay. But one of the girls, she's a little cray-cray. And she was like, she basically, her husband, she's like, you're always in the pool house. Like, you never come in here. And she's just always, and I'm thinking, girl, he don't want to hear your mouth. That's why he's always in the pool house. But he's like, and he's very balanced and level-headed. He's always leaned back and he always has these great, like, neutral responses. He's amazing. And he's like, am I just supposed to, throw away who I am as a person, whatever? And she's like, you threw away who you were as an individual when you said I do. And I'm like, somebody save this man. Save this man. And I really think it is so beautiful when two people can understand you have an individuality. You're allowed to be your own person, your own space. What do you need? What do I need? How can we make what we actually need to function at our best from each? How can we facilitate that for each other? So that capacity that you're talking about, that frustration, that edge, don't come off on anybody's side the wrong way because their cup is just empty. Then you come in and it is like, oh God. Somebody save this man, go to the pool house.
Right. So
Billy, go to the pool house.
Right. So that even goes back to your examples. Like, how does a healthy guy like him end up with all of that.
Me and my friends, we ask each other the same questions. It's like, but she married though. He done gave her the house, the babies. That how it looks like this man is going crazy on the
Either his mother
inside.
was like that, and so internally he married his mother, or he didn't know, and, and now
Now that he's there 4 or
and
5
now he
kids in.
feels stuck in this situation. You're like, it can take, he's been married, so I don't think this is his situation, but you can sometimes it's a shock, so it can take you a little while to even get over the shock. If you've been experiencing somebody for years, not if somebody been acting good for a month and then they act up, it's like, okay, wait a minute, But if somebody has been one way for 3 or 4 years and now all of a sudden they're this monster that you've never seen before, you're in shock. It's like you struggle to accept. You like, okay, when I wake up tomorrow, the nightmare is going to be over and things are going to be back to the way they were for 4 years, right? Not just one day. And then one day turns into a week, and 1 week turns into a month, and a month turns into 6 months. And then you look up and a year later, you're like, I had a relationship. As soon as I met this woman, she told me, hey, I love my mother very much, but she's made some decisions and choices and exhibited some behaviors in life that I just do not want to duplicate. Doesn't make me hate her, doesn't even make me dislike her, but I never want to do these things. And then as we were getting to know each other, sometimes we would end up around her mom and she would be like pointing out, like, see that right there. I don't want to be doing that. That right there. I don't want to be doing that. And then one day, years later, she transformed into her mother 100%. It was unreal, and not even just even in behavior. She changed her hair like her mother's, started wearing more makeup like her mother. I said,
That's insane.
What switch, and how do we turn it back? What happened? But not even bashing on her. What I learned from that is that, you have to be careful about being judgmental about behaviors of people whose DNA you have, right? Because I think the universe, God, sometimes will test you and let that part of your blood come out in you and see if you do what you think that they should be doing to manage it and handle it. And so, you definitely can say, hey, I don't want to do that. I don't do this. But I think if you're too judgmental, you will find yourself totally in that entire scenario to see. It's like the people, if I was a slave, I would have did that. Okay. Kanye said that.
Right.
Put him in that situation. He ain't handling like he said he was, did he? I'm just being honest. He signed contracts and was crying about being in contracts after he said slavery was a choice. No, that contract you signed was a choice. No one beat you, no one choked you, no one chained you, no one cut off your private parts or any of that. And so, again, just learn from it. Not trying to knock Ye or nobody in this world, really. Just learn from these examples and hopefully have tools to grow and have some insight to be able to recognize things to maybe be able to cut the problems off at the pass or come up with solutions.
That is so true, so good, so real, and it happens so often. Very relatable. I'm just like, man, especially when it comes to that DNA, like you really, I don't know. Sometimes I think about certain things like that when it comes to me personally, like, you watch for things, but you're also like, damn, do I have the propensity to do that? Like, is that why I'm still single? Is God making me wait until I'm really grateful? Like, do you remember how long it took you to get here? Watch your mouth.
Indeed.
Could that be part of it,
Yeah. When we look at the other things that we try to get good at, we invest time in. It's rare that somebody's just great at something that they didn't invest any time in. We're willing to go to school. We're willing to go through that probationary period at the job, and even jobs. If you get a sales job, they don't expect you to hit your numbers the first week. You still learning the job. And so I think, relationships certainly and getting to know people can work the same way. Sometimes we get to know people in different capacities. So I can remember having a woman friend, and we were attracted to each other, but I appreciated our friendship so much. I was like, I'm not touching you. Right. She's asked me once a month, like, Tutu, why aren't you
Why don't you want to be my
And I'm like,
boyfriend?
I can confide in you. I can get real feedback from you. Like, you are such a great friend. And then at some point, I started to be like, you know what? I'm looking at this wrong. Friendship is the foundation for a great relationship. You know, I'm being scared, but I may be losing something greater. And she said to me, and Yatu, I want to give you this disclaimer. The me that is your friend is not going to be the exact same me if I was your girlfriend or your wife.
Yeah.
That you will not experience the exact same person. And I heeded that advice and still never touched. And
Smart.
she's happily married now, so it all worked out.
Yeah.
God bless. But I had another coach say to me this morning that dating is for single people, and people who are serious about relationship should never date, that they should just only build a friendship and then go from friendship to courting. And, you know, that sounds great. And it even could sound logical, but how a person is when they're just your friend is not how they're going to be when there's a romantic component in there too. And
It's
so,
not.
you
It's
know,
not.
I didn't think she was wrong all the way, but I think, you know, one extreme is bad. All dating, no friendship can turn out bad. All friendship, no dating, and then still trying to jump into a marriage can also turn into something bad. And I think that's a big mistake that people make in life, period. If one thing doesn't work, we assume that the opposite extreme is what's going to work. And usually it's somewhere balanced in the middle.
Right. As you were talking, all I could think about is the middle ground, because it's too much to think of. I got to do it like this. Every interaction is so unique. And this is why, again, going to our coaching programs, we focus so much on an individual, just being sure about who they are, how they move, what they know about themselves, being consciously aware of your things, your trigger. This is a you journey, because there's just no way. It's too much if you think about it the other way. Even you just saying all that, should you date first? Should you just go right into it? Like, it makes my head spin. I don't even, I will stop doing all of this right now if I have to figure all that out. Just forget it. Like, never mind. I'll just do it myself. So there's just a lot of dynamics, but it all comes down to knowing yourself, how to maneuver it, doing the best you can, being honest, stop all the performance. I know men are getting it and women are getting it. Just like the movie you shared, oh, it needs to be this and he likes this and did it. These dudes do not, he will kiss you in the mouth and you wouldn't even brush your teeth in the morning yet. Like, it is really not what you think it is. Okay. That little cellulite that you're worried about, he looking at the cheeks, babe. He didn't even see, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, and then the same with men, like, I gotta be this, I gotta be that. Sometimes just like, oh my God, but I just love you. Like, I just love you. Like, sometimes we just be like, I don't know, I just love him. I just want to take care of him. I just want to give him what I can. Cook, you hungry? Like, I don't even care. Like, what do you need? You know? And so we just gotta get out of all of the performance of everything and just do the best we can, but definitely be our own leaders. Definitely, ladies, we cannot be emotionally abusive, neither can men. But the more that we can both work to understand each other in a healthy capacity, I'm like all for it. I really picture this thing being so amazing, like every day. I think it could be amazing like every day.
Absolutely. So
Like,
I
am I
don't know if
delusional?
I achieve certain things. I noticed that too, that, you know, and this is what people need to pay attention to themselves, that no two relationships has ever gotten the same me. That
Oh yeah.
one type of woman may inspire patience in me, and another woman inspires impatience
Mm-hmm.
in me. And so again, people have to really pay attention to how what the relationship is bringing out of them to be able to really determine if it's for them. More so, like, how is it bringing the best out of you, or the worst out of you? How is it making you behave? Because the longest relationship I've ever been in, she never came home and did what that guy was talking about, not even
Right.
this much,
Yeah.
and even
Yeah.
since, and they aren't the longest relationships I've ever had in my life, but certainly I've had some women where I haven't had that take it out on me experience, at all, or at least that's not the way it showed up. Maybe it showed up in some other way.
Right.
But that's
You
not the
know,
way that it showed up.
you know, and I'm with you on that. The longest relationship I had, I think I shared it before. It's like, you know, he didn't have it all together in the beginning, and I had it all the way together. Then there was a time where I fell off, and he was like, "We do this." Then we just kept each other very satisfied in that area. And we were younger too, but it wasn't like you need to do all this and like I'm going to express my desire, but working as a team can also be very easy with two willing parties. And that was the longest relationship I ever had. It was like we took care of each other, and it was never a discussion, any of this other stuff.
Awesome.
But that was also before podcast, so I don't even.
My final words are: men, be as patient as you can be with your ladies. You know, everybody's going through a lot in the world, and so sometimes, because we're human, we're affected by what goes on the outside, and because there is no opportunity to express it or vent about it on the outside, it ends up having to happen on the inside. So yes, be as patient as you can be with your ladies, but don't take abuse. Ladies, appreciate that patience. Don't make it the standard operating procedures where every week he has to manage this. I mean, if it's happening every week organically, God bless. But don't decide that you don't have to control yourself anymore at all because you have this man that has the ability. Because let me tell you, you know, somebody being able to handle something a certain way 10 times versus 100 times is not always the same. So you may get that Zen dude 99 times, but then that 100th time you come home and snap, he's done. done. All right. And so, yeah, everybody, let's not be representative, but let's try to be the best that we can be in our relationships. If we really love that person, you know, that's my mindset.
What was it? Was it Jerry Springer? Take care of yourself and each other. Those are my words.
How ironic.
It kind of works. It makes sense. Got it. This whole time.
So, yeah,
this is amazing.
We're coming to a close.
Yeah,
if you like what you heard today from me, you can definitely follow me on Instagram. That is Nyatu Marvel is Hitch, like it says on the screen with no spaces. On Facebook, on my government name, Nyatu Marvel, and my website is thehitchagency.com. You can go and read some really great articles and blog entries about relationship dynamics. You can also sign up for a 15-minute consultation, or if you know you're ready and you know I'm the right one, you can grab yourself a package of one-on-one sessions. And yeah, HIT stands for Healing Individuals to Connect Healthily. I think that is, if there's one dynamic to describe a relationship that is the most important, or even an individual, is to be in a healthy place, because that's the only way we blossom and we thrive. And so that is what my program is all about.
Delicious. You do couples too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, see, I'm gonna be like, okay, let's hit him up. Let's grab a package and have a moment.
Yeah. Even if there's nothing wrong, I support.
Even if there's nothing wrong.
Yeah, just strengthening relationship, gaining some tools that you might not have, learning some things that you might not have learned before, creating a space for a different type of conversation, someone asking different types of questions than maybe the two of you are asking. And so, yeah, there can be tremendous benefits to outside help.
I believe that even if you're just getting in a fresh relationship or whatever it is, if you have the means and the time, I absolutely think even in brand new relationships, to get with somebody like you and do it all together. It doesn't have to be on the way to marriage. Regardless, you're going to learn and grow. I think it needs to be done. I'm going to do it next time, pretty early on. If we think we want to, see what's up, let's just have a few conversations. Let's just see, I don't think it can hurt anything.
Can't hurt anything. Absolutely. So tell them about Sassy Jane.
Sassy. Okay. First of all, I've been getting so many inquiries. I've got new clients. I have been having a ball. I actually have a schedule now, and to watch people grow and evolve and discover things about themselves and take inventory and being able to give them tools that they can actually use instead of just meditate, affirmations. There's so much stuff running underneath the surface that we need to excavate and talk about. And I've just been having so much fun helping people heal and grow and move past their sticky places. So you guys can follow me here, Jamie Alexander, on Instagram. I'm also going viral right now. So
Yay.
one of my videos has 1.2 million views. I mean,
That's
I'm
awesome.
getting,
Congratulations. Like,
it's
drink
been
your
so much
champagne
fun.
glasses. 1.2 million views. You're
It's
killing
been
it.
fun. I'm killing it. And I'm getting so much love and kindness and laughs and DMs. It's just been such a testament for me to my consistency. I don't know what I hit. I think I'm funny, but apparently 1.2 million people do think I'm funny too. So,
Nice.
so that's been really fun. But you guys can go to Get Sassy. No. GetSassy.sassymethod.com or sassymethod.com, whatever. And connect with me for a 20-minute call if you feel like you are tired of doing the same stuff in relationships or in your life, in your purpose, in your business, and you want to get free and move to the next level. Hit me up if you like this. Like, comment, subscribe. I did. SJ, you see my post. I had 300,000. I'm like, am I going to make it? What are we doing? And I was like, 1 million. Oh my God. Now I'm like 2 million. Let's do 2. No.
Run it. Yeah, gotta increase the goals.
Yeah, you never know. But thank you guys. If you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe. If you thought this conversation was important, please share it with a friend. And you know how we do. We'll see you in the next video.
Absolutely. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wednesday. Peace.